gentlemen, be a rosebud!
Behold! The power of magnetism! What would your finishing maneuver be called?
The circumcision.
Follow the buzzards!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. My name, if you're asking of course, is Turbo Tony, and we're here with the architect of the Shield, Mr. Money in the Bank, the turncoat, Matt Rollins. Yeah. I thought that was alright. Yeah, that's okay. Eventually, once we get to like episode 200, I'm just gonna run out of.
You'll have nothing.
I'll have nothing. Yeah, I'll start spouting indie wrestlers that didn't even have any pre-names.
Any reference? Nope.
How are you doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad.
Are you missing me yet?
I think I'll be a bit of a dick to say no.
For people that don't know, the last 3 episodes or something have been a bit strained for myself and Matt because both of us were on holiday at the same time, and then it just overlapped. We managed to get episodes out to you guys as quickly as we could, so this one is going up a day late. We're recording this when it should be out, so we are sorry in advance, but you will get it out in the morning of Monday at the very latest. So yeah, a interesting week of wrestling. Obviously, Night of Champions was up. We reviewed that on the Let's Talk More Wrestling extra episode that we do after each pay-per-view. I'm just going to say that we do that now after each pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's a regular thing.
It's a regular thing. So you can go catch that there of our thoughts of Night of Champions. I will warn you now, there's not many references to Night of Champions in our review today, so if you want to hear our thoughts on that, then more than likely go to that video. Yeah, it just makes sense. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I forget this every single time to put it at the start, so I'm going to do it now. At Talk WrestlePod is the place to tweet us, and now obviously Matt's back off holiday. You can bug him, and he'll actually see your tweets because he won't be on the other side of the world escaping Bella's segments.
That's it.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said you've done. So that's what I imagine.
I was running from Bella's.
Running from Bella's. Bella's everywhere. Just can't get away.
That's pretty true.
That's it. Talking of Bella's, I just wanted to leave a little note here. We had a comment response from one of our listeners who had a very concise and I have to say very well worded response on our criticism of the Bellas, and they shared a few videos. Now I've looked at them, and we're going to respond to that during our Raw review when obviously the Bellas were involved in Raw this week. So
sounds fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more about there. I just want to say, if you guys disagree with what we're saying, fantastic. As long as you word it as well as this guy did. Yeah, and give us stuff like that. Love it. Thought it was great, and we'll talk about that later on. So the guy who left that, I can't remember your name. You had a scary clown as your picture. Well done, fantastic, and we'll talk about that later on. I hope you enjoy.
Was it the latest video?
Yes, the latest video. That's it. In defence of the Bellas. So obviously we'll talk about that there because we're obviously on the other side of the fence, and we'll talk about it going here. But we have wrestling news this week. Oh my goodness, it feels amazing to have some wrestling news. We also have our fail of the week, and also we've got a little topic at the end. We're basically going to talk, considering now Roman Reigns is injured. He is out, and WWE are now elongating the amount of time that he's due to be out. They're saying, it was 6 weeks now. Apparently, it's a couple of months.
Yep.
Does this leave the door open for someone else who's also hot to come and take his place, and maybe take his place permanently in terms of the next big WWE star? We're going to talk about Dean Ambrose, whether he can be that guy, if he can be the man. And I know, you have quite a few thoughts on that yourself.
Yeah. That'd be quite good.
But you have to wait to the end of the podcast for that. We've got plenty going on for you.
Speak then.
So let's get into our news. A few interesting little tidbits of news. Has been a bit of a dry month, unfortunately, when it comes to news. No big things like CM Punk leaving or anything like that. But still, we'll go forward. The Honky Tonk Man is threatening to sue WWE over use of his name.
That's true, yeah.
Now, this is something that you will hear, less so now than back at the time that Honky Tonk was around, because WWE obviously, we're going to be talking about name changes later on with a certain NXT debutante, and them keeping the rights to the name and the merchandise and all that stuff.
So,
What makes this a little bit interesting? Back in Honky Tonk's days, that wasn't necessarily the case. You know, that's the reason why Hulk Hogan could go to WCW and still be called Hulk Hogan. You know.
yeah, and it's sort of like why everyone would sort of still be in everywhere their own. It's sort of like it's like a difficult time where it's just like they came in and they were their own.
Yes.
They were their own gimmick. Like it was a time when WWE never gave them out.
Yeah, exactly. Or if they did, it was unheard of for WWE to lock down, you know, your name in terms of legal rights and stuff like that. Obviously, the WCW stuff made it so they very quickly wrapped all that stuff up, so all their work into one guy wouldn't hop ship to another company. That's the reason why they do it. You know, so they don't spend millions upon millions of dollars or 2 years building up this big star and suddenly hop ship to another show, even though it's less dangerous now than it was back then. You know what I mean? But that's the reason why they do it. He is threatening to, as we said, he's threatening to sue WWE over use of his name in terms of like merchandising, all this other stuff. My opinion is that he's worked with WWE a few more times since then. I don't think he will win a legal battle with WWE for this. I actually don't think he has much of a leg to stand on.
Well, that's it. I mean, he'll have to have signed some sort of contract to come back for even just like as a Legends contract.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
So it sort of sticks him in a really awkward sort of situation where it's just like, well, you willingly did this.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people will do that where, you know, Honky Tonk is probably trying to make a bit of noise around himself. You know, these guys are still technically, some of them are out there still wrestling today, you know, and maybe he's trying to get a little bit of buzz around his name. It's an easy way for him to do it, to get a little bit of controversy, shall we say. We can't say for sure, but I don't expect this to go too far. I don't expect Honky Tonk to, one, actually sue WWE, and if he does, two, I don't expect him to win. Yeah, it's irrelevant in that case. I know a few people said before, you never think that anyone that sues WWE will win. It's because most people that do sue WWE, most people that have said they will sue them, won't. People that often do, lose. That's the way it is.
That's it. I mean, WWE hasn't come to the sort of size that they are without having like an ironclad legal team.
Yeah, exactly. And back from the days, we'll talk about WCW, back in those days where there was lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit backwards and forwards, WWE, I imagine, their legal team do not want to be in that sort of, having that many mistakes again. So, yeah, that's what I would say in regards to Honky Tonk. It's a bit of a more relevant news. Prince Devitts has now officially debuted on NXT.
It's not aired yet.
It's not aired yet, but he has debuted. It has happened. It's not aired. And his NXT name is Finn Balor, or Balor, whichever way you want to say it. Now, me and Matt have already talked about this. We're not big fans of the name. I'm just going to say that out there. No. The one thing I will say is a plus for the guy, and I'll try and say this without sounding, without making it sounding odd. He does look good without the face paint. He did debut without the face paint. All right,
that's true. Oh, so you've seen his debut video then?
Yeah. I've seen pictures and the odd little video clips that have been up and around and stuff like that. He looks like what WWE are looking for. You know, a good looking, good guy in the ring. You know, he's got a good appeal to him. You know, and he's got that Irish, twang, that's which I know,
and capable.
Yeah, capable, but like I said, he's got that little bit of extra to him that WWE do like.
Yeah.
A few people have been saying, "Oh, they've shed him apart. He's no longer Prince Devitt. They've taken away the face paint and stuff like that." Hold on a minute, guys. Right? Just calm down a little bit, right? Devitt isn't done yet. Like you got to give him a chance to at least debut. You know what I mean? We haven't even seen it on TV yet. You know what I mean? And
that's it. I mean, if anything, WWE may be just holding on to face paint. It's like you can do face paint, but a pay-per-view.
Yes, and why not? I completely agree with that. I think it would be wrong to make him do the face paint every single week.
That's it. I mean, it's that sort of. I mean, as we discussed before you even went away, it's like it's actually probably a better idea. Like Rey Mysterio had a standard mask the whole year through.
Yeah.
But come WrestleMania, he'd have a big one.
Yeah, and maybe some of the bigger events he would have something a little bit different. It makes sense for him to use this stuff that's very special at special moments. For instance, while he's in NXT, an NXT big event, to really get it over. Is you want to see what kind of stuff he's going to he's going to paint and all this stuff.
That's it. Well, the other thing is, like, loads of people just like, oh, without the face paint, it's nothing. It's like, well, the face paint got him the recognition, yeah, but it's his ability that got him the bookings.
It's quite funny that, like, a lot of his apparently his die-hard fans are going mental about it. Come on, have a little bit more faith in your guy. Come on, this guy can get it done without the face paint.
Oh, he's nothing without the face paint. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, he's much better than that. He doesn't need the face paint to get into a point, but the face paint is a plus. But it needs to be used right, and a lot of people are just like this. Is almost like with Kenta. Yeah, I didn't like his name change, but I still think Hideo Itami is okay. And wait until this guy's at least had a couple of months on television before you start making any sort of rash decisions on WWE have ruined him. You don't know that yet. Maybe they have ruined him. We just don't know. But more than likely they haven't. We'll see how it goes from there. Update on Jake Roberts, as we have stated before. The reason we want to keep updates on this guy because it would really kill me if this guy has serious illnesses after really battling all his personal demons. Apparently he is still in hospital, he's fighting through things, but he's had complications, he's had to have biopsies on his lungs and that sort of stuff.
That's it, sort of pneumonia is not an easy thing.
Not at his age and not with the amount of stuff he's put into his body. And we've said this all before, but man, it would be Eddie Guerrero level shame if he beats his demons and then they just catch up to him. It's just such a shock. I don't want that to happen, and I'm touching wood right now that doesn't happen. But man, that would be heavily gutting if that actually comes to fruition. You know what I mean?
That's it. So just like you tried so hard and come so far, and it's just like,
yeah. But you know what? We went back and said. Jake said that apparently he was worried that he would let down the fans. You're not letting us down by being in there from pneumonia. Like, honestly, that's it. You can't get away from that.
It's acceptable.
Yeah. But fingers crossed for Jake Roberts. Hopefully he'll get out of that hospital and we can see him on another episode of Raw. Hopefully, fingers crossed, one of these days. Now, Matt. The fail of the week. I can hear you rubbing your hands together with glee, and all of our subscribers, of course, because I know you guys love the fail of the week. It's become one of my most popular segments, and we've got a doozy for you guys this week. What if I were to tell you, Matt, that I'm going to state as our fail of the week a pay-per-view that had the worst buy rate in history of the last 17 years, apart from December to Dismember. And it happened just over a year ago.
A year ago?
It is Battleground 2013 is our fail of the week.
Wow.
If you remember, Matt, this is back before we relaunched the podcast, so we didn't actually get to talk about this at the time. This was the infamous pay-per-view where they were building up to, we're going to have a decisive champion, because remember the title was Abeyance, it was Bacon. Bacon was champion for like 4 months or whatever. And it was going to be Bryan against Orton, and then we're going to have a decisive winner. We're going to find out who the champion is, going forward from there. And this is back when Bryan, it was huge, at that time. This is the 6-month build-up to him at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They decided it would be a fantastic idea after a very hotly contested match to have the Big Show come in and lay out everyone leading it to a no contest. They basically finished their main event. This led to huge numbers of people demanding refunds because of the way that the event ended, because it was done so poorly. And also,
I remember the event.
Yeah,
now.
you remember. It's all coming clear to you. You tried to hide it in the deepest depths of your mind, but it's still there. You've got to do a finish pretty bad if a chunk of your
demanding refunds for it. Yeah,
and they got it as well. They got the refunds for it. A little bit of tinge of sadness about this event because obviously it is looked at so poorly for good reason.
Yeah.
Is that it actually... This is what makes our fail of the week weird this week, the whole Battleground 2013 fiasco, is that it actually has our 2013 match of the year was on that pay-per-view.
Yes.
Isn't that shocking?
That's true.
The Rhodes Brothers versus Shield tag team title match, which I think was one of the best things they've booked in a very long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even
Stunning
a long match. Yeah. Like, it was about maybe tops 15 minutes long. Was one of the most enjoyable things that year. And a really good face win that made you feel like you wanted to punch the air with it. Like, yes, these guys have won it. It was awesome.
That was pre-show, wasn't it?
No, that was during the pay-per-view. No, it was definitely during the pay-per-view.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking Usos Shield that also had a great match on a pre-show that year as well.
Yeah.
Battleground 2013, the show itself was horrendous. It actually forced them to actually state that the next pay-per-view would definitely, without any short shadow of doubt, crown the new champion. And also refunds are demanded for it as well. Considering we also, when you stack up to Victory Road 2011, I mean Battleground doesn't even touch the amount of fail that the TNA show had back then with that main event. But still, it's still pretty shocking that why did they think that was a good idea? We'll never know, unfortunately.
So someone said yes, and they shouldn't have.
That's it. But if you go back and watch Battleground 2013, I'll tell you what, just watch that excellently booked Rhodes Brothers versus Shield tag team title match and just leave it at that. There you go. Awesome.
That's it. That's all you need.
Fantastic. So we move on to our Raw review this week. If you haven't caught us before on the show and you've stuck with us this long, fantastic. Awesome. Thank you. And this is the bulk of our show, the meat and bones, as I like to call it here on the show, where we review every segment of Raw, no matter how small, and we give our views on on each segment as it comes up.
That's it.
This is our usual part of the show, and we review every segment of Raw here. So we're officially now on the road to Hell in a Cell. You wouldn't know it by watching this show from Memphis, Tennessee this week. It was straight off Night of Champions, as we said before. If you want to watch our review or listen to our review, we've got that on the channel. Just before we go into the actual segments, since the episode has aired, it's come about that apparently this Raw has the lowest ratings of any Raw in 2014.
What?
Yeah. It was.
But after such a controversial finish at.
Well. I don't think... A lot of people are pointing to this Raw and saying that this Raw was bad. There are very bad bits about this Raw. There's also very good bits about this Raw. So I'll just get that out there, right?
Yeah.
And this Raw was a lot better than the Raws that we've had preceding Night of Champions. Before Night of Champions. I think the reason why this Raw did so badly is not because people tuned into this and thought, fuck this, I'm going somewhere else. It's more along the lines they tuned into the last couple of weeks and thought, fuck that, I'm not watching it, period.
Yeah.
Giving it a break for a little while, and I wouldn't blame them because it wasn't a great set of weeks of leading up to the pay-per-view, even though the pay-per-view was quite solid. But let's go into the opening of the show. Now, before we start, Matt has actually had what we like to call the abridged version of Raw this week, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've seen Raw, but you've had the abridged version because you haven't had the time.
I've seen promo Raw.
You've seen promo Raw, essentially. So a lot of this will be free to Matt, and I'm going to blow his mind at the end of this segment because I know I was watching the abridged version with him, and I thought the ending segment was great. I now think it's a pile of turd. Right? Okay, so we'll go into this. So it'll be interesting for you, Matt, and our listeners going forward. Dean Ambrose, who returned at Night of Champions, he opened the show. He pretty much reminds us, as soon as he gets on the mic, exactly what we've been missing for the last 4 weeks, essentially.
Yeah.
A whole hefty dose of Ambrose. And
it's never a bad thing.
Yeah, one of the hottest things that WWE have right now is Ambrose running out to fight people. It doesn't really matter who it is.
That's it. The guy. You want to fight? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
He said he essentially says in his promo that he's flattered that his head was stamped into concrete. He thought it was pretty cool that it happened.
Was it? He liked it.
He liked it. He says that he wants Rollins tonight, sets up a chair. He's going to wait for Rollins to come out. He also asks for a beer, Austin style, but unfortunately we know that Austin's beer guy has been fired from the company. So maybe that was a little bit of a sly reference to that. And I can't imagine in this day and age having too much beer drinking unless Austin's around, because he seems to be the exception. So
that's it. You want a drink in the ring? No.
Especially at the start of the show. I mean, Jesus.
That's it.
He doesn't get Rollins. He gets John Cena, who was screwed out of beating Brock Lesnar.
That's it.
For the belt by Mr. Rollins, shall we say. Ambrose tells him that he doesn't like Cena being in the ring with him. I probably agree with...
it? Don't give me a reason to not like you.
Yeah. I actually agree with Ambrose here when he says he doesn't like Cena being in the ring with him, because we all know Cena is like a black hole for new pushes. So,
that's it.
He's a push-seeking missile, is the guy. So
he's the plug to the push sink.
Yeah, that's it. So stay as far away as you can from him, Ambrose. Stay as far away as you can, okay? Cena says that he's cashing in his ass-kicking in a bank contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like the pair are going to fight until the Authority come out. Again, they smelled an opening segment without them, and they just had to intervene. You can't have opening segments without the Authority. Are you crazy?
No.
Come on. Of course, that's a joke. We would much rather they wouldn't be. You can put them in other sections of the show, and not every section of the show, but still. Before Triple H can start, doing his usual, boring.
Best for business, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah. Cena decides, you know what? I'm kind of had enough of that. And the pair of them run out and try and fight Rollins. And they end up fighting Kane and Orton. And then they chase Rollins out of the building where he straight up hijacks a car from, some dude packing his bags. I did enjoy the tussle. I enjoyed them, going through backstage and fighting, Rollins running to the car and stuff. More for Ambrose
laughing as he rolls out of the car, out of the boot.
Yeah, he's delightfully maniacal, I think is probably the right word to say for Ambrose. And you know what? Cena stopping the Authority promo gives me a thumbs up for him. For now. Okay? So, there you go. The whole segment, it was okay. Most of it because of Ambrose. I find Ambrose very fresh on the mic. I find it very exciting.
He has a completely different style on the mic, which I like.
Yeah.
It's not just like a clean-cut promo, because he has that sort of the twitch and the edge sort of thing. It just makes like a promo a lot more sort of interesting to watch.
Yeah, it does. It's something that, while we can say Cena does a good promo, and he does, a lot of it sometimes, especially in mid-month of Raws, tend to be very, very formulaic. And one thing you can't really say about Ambrose, at least not yet, is formulaic. He's not that. So
yeah, it's the one thing I probably like the most with Ambrose is the fact that it's almost like he has that little tweak to him when he cuts promos.
Yeah, that's it. He's a very good promo giver. We always said that since he debuted. Yeah. He was the best talker out of the Shield. But yeah, I thought it was okay. Leading into the show, I'm not a big fan of promos opening Raws. But it was alright. I'll take what I can get.
So, well, you better.
Yeah, or the Authority will,
it.
Exactly. So then backstage after the ad break, Triple H tells Kane to finish Ambrose and Orton to face Cena. I can just imagine a lot of fans' faces just sinking.
Just a big sigh.
Yeah, oh, here we go again. Orton against Cena. I'm a little bit less jaded to it than most, I have to admit, but I can understand where the majority are going with it. It's a little bit, again, really? Orton actually said something here I think that made the most sense that he's actually said in a lot of promos. He says, Seth should stop starting fires that Orton has to put out. And if I were him, I would be a little bit pissed having to play bodyguard to this guy who's just randomly attacking people here and there.
That's it. It's like, if you're not going to stick around for the fight, don't throw the first punch.
Yeah, that's it. So, and also he might be a little bit annoyed that he has to have his millionth match with Cena. So, I can understand why he'd be a bit pissed. To the Intercontinental title match. I would say here, probably the best match of the night.
Yeah.
Very, very good opening match here. A fan of ours said that they quite enjoyed Damien Sandow in his current form. Now, while I don't, I can admire Sandow's dedication to the character.
He's got that sort of thing like we kept saying about Drew McIntyre, he's been dealt a shit hand, but he's still making the most of it.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people being given that exact same role and not giving as much determination to try and make it work than Sandow is. And I agree, the reason why we're a little bit annoyed with the whole Sandow thing, and at least now he's not dressing up as random people, at least now he has a character that he's got in week out, is because the potential of the guy far outweighs where he is now. You know what I mean? He could be a fantastic heel for that company, but he's stuck as the sidekick. But I do kind of get what our listener is saying, is that he is full on. In fact, in a moment in this match when Miz used the figure 4 leg lock, Damien Sandow put on a figure 4 leg lock on an invisible man outside the ring. Yeah. That's dedication to the cause.
Probably dropped to the floor as well, not laid down.
Yeah, he was sinking that in, Maybe it was Vacant. We don't know. Maybe Vacant tried to get into the match.
Vacant tapped. Maybe Vacant tapped out.
Vacant may have tapped out. We just don't know. Okay. Mind blown. And we're not even that far into the podcast here, guys. Wow. Anyway, but yeah, if he's going to be Mizdow, he's doing everything he can to be the best goddamn Mizdow he can be, and we have to give him props for that.
That's it.
We still don't like it, but it's, we still respect the effort here. But the match itself is very, very high quality. I did enjoy it. It's the finish of the match is Ziggler basically on a play. He was beaten for the belt at Night of Champions by having his tights pulled. So he pulls Miz's tights and wins the belt back. That's it. The second time Miz has lost the Intercontinental belt within 24 hours. However, that is twice also that Ziggler has tried to show us the Miz's ass. What is wrong with that guy? We don't want to see that. Come on. You don't. Do you want to see that, Matt?
Well, I think we actually saw more of Miz than we did of Ziggler the night before.
Yeah. I mean, I asked the fans, did they want to see it? I'm categorically saying that they didn't want to. Do you want to see the Miz's ass?
No, I'm good.
No, I'm pretty sure that you're the same. He's obviously heel Ziggler. He's just, I'm joking, of course.
Maybe he's just the crazy party guy. It's like, pants.
Yeah, just pantsing everyone. No, let's not do that. But yeah, it was a good match here, I have to say. And Miz, when he's put with the right person, like Ziggler, who can definitely give you a very good match, Miz can get it done in the ring. We just, he can get more frustrating and annoying rather than, anything else, unfortunately. But, and I don't know about you, Matt, you may think of this differently. I kind of dislike the belt being playing like hot potato, a little bit like the Divas title as well.
I never like a belt playing hot potato.
Yeah. I thought, honestly... Now, while I like the fact that Ziggler's still involved in some sort of capacity, and I thought when Miz won the belt at Night of Champions, I thought Ziggler would probably be put to the wayside. They could have done it in a way that the belt just didn't constantly keep going backwards and forwards between these guys. I mean, between them fighting each other, they're both an extra 2-time IC champion from this. So you can kind of understand, the frustration of it. So.
I don't think that should count.
Yeah. But yes, great match, and if there's one match you want to watch this week, it would be that one. And also for Sandow's excellent Figure 4 on Vacant. So, there we are. Bo Dallas against Jack Swagger. Apparently,
because this rivalry is not over yet.
Yeah, apparently so. This apparently is the rubber match, as Swagger won last week on Raw, Dallas won on SmackDown, so apparently they're having a rubber match now. Swagger gets the win pretty much in exactly the same fashion as he did the week before.
Yay, new match style.
Yeah, and then Zeb at the end says, Swagger won because he Bo-leaved, essentially mocking him.
Yeah.
I don't know, we said back before, and I've always stuck by it, since this idea of this feud was going forward, this still hasn't done anything for Bo Dallas or Jack Swagger. It's giving them something to do, but... It's
giving them ring time, but for what purpose, we still don't know.
Yeah. Now, also, we have also said before, people say, well, at least they're on Raw. Yeah, you're actually right, at least they're actually doing something. Something at times is better than nothing. And they're certainly not going backwards, but they're also not going forwards. So that's a little bit of a misstep there from them. So Natalya against Summer Rae. We had a good set of back-to-back-to-back matches here, which is quite rare. Often they do stick a promo somewhere in that lot, but still, it's a Total Divas match though. So, and I guess it was a little bit of a shame though during this match starting up that I actually expected a Total Divas match to happen. Is that a little bit sad of me that I expect?
What, the fact that you saw Divas in the ring?
No, even before, I now expect that until Total Divas goes off air, you're going to see a match every single week of Raw.
Oh yeah,
and it's a little
Total Divas related.
Yeah, and it's a shame that I expect it. But sorry. Let me clarify. A bad Total Divas match every single week. I don't think there's been a good one yet, but there we are.
Was this one bad as well?
There's a little bit of a tinge of awkwardness for me, right? Before we go into the match, Summer Rae drops a really bad promo before this match, essentially saying that I think the kicker was, for you, summer is over, but for me, it's always around. It was like, really? No. A bit awkward. And even their Total Divas segment that they showed looked really fake, so, can't really do it there. It was badly written, badly delivered, and we we like Summer Rae here on the show. We actually think she can go, but
we've seen NXT.
Yes.
It's almost like WWE forget about that. It's like, oh yeah, everyone needs to watch NXT. It's where the future of the company is. And then they have like great like Natalya versus Charlotte for the NXT Women's title. Cracking match. An amazing match. Don't forget to watch NXT, where Summer Rae actually does stuff. It's good.
Where she actually has time to wrestle
Raw,
matches.
And you'll see her shit all over the place.
Yeah. So the match is over in a matter of a couple of minutes. The issue that I have here is a slight shame, is because you can tell from those first couple of moments, if they were told that they have an extra 5 minutes, they could probably have done something pretty good with the match. But then it just goes to poo at the end of the match because obviously he doesn't have enough time, and it just ends with Natalya making
Sharpshooter finish.
You didn't even watch that match, did you? And you knew the finish going on, so there you
that's
it.
So
that's where it goes from there. It's not as if this is going to move into a Natalya and Summer Rae rivalry. Next week on Total Divas, they may be your buddy, so they might be tag team partners. That's the way they're running with this.
That's it.
It's annoying. It's frustrating. But...
Next time on Total Divas, Rosa Mendes called her a bitch, and now there's got a Rose.
Yeah, now Rosa's now going to team up with Natalya. Oh no, face Natalya, or Summer Rae shined her shoes wrong. I don't know. Bit bad that I'm thinking of things that way, but still. So yeah, it is a shame with the Total Divas stuff, but unfortunately, guys, you have to expect it. At very least, we are getting some, a actual wrestling rivalry alongside that, in that sense. So,
What with AJ, Paige, and Nikki?
Yeah, so at very least, there's something good there. When you stack the Total Divas stuff next to that, there's no competition.
Not a great deal of comparison. No.
Yeah, exactly. What was quite ironic here, and I did make a quick note of this, we don't make obviously every reference to every flashback here because that'd be boring for you guys to listen, but when they did a flashback, I noticed that they used the Superstars graphics, so obviously someone messed up in production. So they basically showed the starting promo of the show and it had all the Superstars banners on it. So either, John Cena and Dean Ambrose apparently going to start turning up on Superstars, which I heavily doubt. I
didn't see this.
They really messed it up, yeah. Talking of Dean Ambrose, he had his match with Kane.
Mm-hmm.
That was up next. A decent enough match. Not fantastic. Missable match, I would say, but competent.
Yeah.
Worth watching once, at least. The only little issue here with this match is that one thing that does look really bad at the end is that when Ambrose uses the dirty deeds on Kane sold it horrifically. He landed really awkwardly.
It's like the worst selling ever.
Yeah.
It's like this is coming from Kane, like the vet, and just like, no, I'm not selling this.
It's not something that Kane does often, but he's human. You know what I mean? Like, even Daniel Bryan, the technician that is in that ring, is going to land a few moves wrong every now and then. So we're not saying that Kane, oh look at him, it just happens every now and then, but it was noticeable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just as Ambrose looks like he's getting the win, Seth Rollins comes back, and hopefully he gave the car back to that poor dude, but anyway.
Yeah. And apologised for throwing him all over the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Dick.
Dick, yeah. So he makes his return, attacks Ambrose, causes the DQ. Ambrose rallies, gets a chokeslam for his troubles, and as Rollins looks like
Wasn't that the worst chokeslam ever?
It wasn't hot. Oh, yeah, I guess actually, yeah, it was a little bit.
There was a terrible chokeslam on this Raw.
So, this little match ends anyway with Rollins trying to get back in the ring, but by then Ambrose has got a chair, and it's a little bit of a face-off between the two. This is where it's going. Seth Rollins will eventually face Dean Ambrose again, and it should be in a Hell in a Cell match.
In a cell.
That's the only way you can blow it off, personally. You and me have said for ages, Matt, that this is the type of match which is perfect for a Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, yeah.
The feud itself.
It's like a Hell in a Cell is like a perfect blood feud match type.
Yeah, to end it all.
Because it's just like, are you going to escape? No. How can you escape?
Yeah. And they can run with the stating that whenever Ambrose gets his hands on Rollins, Orton and Kane are there. Well, this time they're in a fucking cell, so there's no one's going to get in.
Or better still, you do know that these two people are probably crazy enough that they're probably willing to do a through the roof spot.
Oh, I don't think WWE would let them do it though, would they? No, of course not. You're getting people's hopes up, Matt. See, we watched.
I'm getting my own hopes up now, but I'm thinking to myself, it's like, I reckon Ambrose would do it.
Yeah, I think Ambrose would do it. personally. If he's crazy enough to have a electronic saw put upon his head in a death match that he had in CZW once, even though I know these things are blunt, guys, we know all the tricks and trades, but still, that can't be comfortable. No way to get around it.
That's it.
So, backstage, Triple H talking to Rollins. He says you got to stop making these fires, and then Ambrose just pretty much just interrupts everything.
They're just like, nope.
It looks like
done.
It's quite funny here. Whenever Triple H looks like he's going to try and do a little promo here, it's just like Ambrose, no, I'm not going to let you do it. He's a hero among the masses for that.
That's it.
Not saying that Triple H is bad on the mic, but come on, his authority promos sometimes are very boresome. So, Ambrose goes in for the attack, and then he gets essentially picked up by the bodyguards and thrown into a room. We are led to believe that there is no exit from the room and that he is locked in. Now, you must remember this for later, because there's a rant coming about later, and this is very, very poignant to what I'm going to talk about later. So, he's locked in there. He can't get out, okay? Like, the door itself has been locked, and later on, there's even
four guys stood in front of it.
Yeah, and later on, one of the security guards actually shows Triple H the key, okay? So, he's in there. He's stuck. He can't get out. Fair enough. We move on. Okay? But remember what we just said there. Sheamus and Usos against the new tag team champions. They're with their cosmic keys.
Mm-hmm.
Goldust, Stardust, and Tazaro, as dubbed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, from wearing the Taz style towel.
The headscarf. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Just a little bit of a gripe here. It's not a huge issue, so then people don't think I'm going to go crazy about it. The Usos come out and do their usual stuff. You know, Uso, when we say Uso, you say, oh, okay, fair enough. But they just lost the tag team titles that they held for the better part of almost 6 months. I would have had them come out all business. And not, okay, we're going to pander to the crowds. We'd be like, okay, we want to go into this match and we want to show Goldust and Stardust. Next time we fight for those belts, we're going to win them back. We're better than them.
Yeah.
But a little bit of a gripe. Just have them two walk down very serious. You have commentary play up of the Usos are taking nothing for granted here. They're going to win this match and stuff like that.
They could keep they could keep the hacker, I suppose.
Yeah, I to a degree. You know, it's almost like it reminds me a lot of when Cena loses belts and he comes out and he cracks jokes afterwards and stuff like that. It's like you're supposed to be making us believe that this belt was the most important thing in your life. And yet you don't
just lost it, yeah.
Yeah, and you seemingly don't give a shit that you just lost it the night before, and it happens too often. It's not as bad, obviously, here, but I just thought it would have been good if the Usos were all business here, but just a little gripe anyway. The Usos here and Sheamus get the win. It was a lengthy match, this one.
But it's last week's Raw's rematch.
Yeah. The problem I have with this match, as well, is that I just couldn't get into it.
No.
The match itself, sometimes you'll have matches which are very crisp and clean. It was almost like the Night of Champions match that Jericho had with Orton. That technically they're very sound, but I just wasn't that into it. You know, I didn't get emotionally invested into the match. Obviously, with Orton and Jericho, it was because it was so rushed that those two were going to wrestle. Such a thrown
together show, yeah.
And as you said here, Matt, this is just another rematch that we've had before, you know. So, unfortunately, I just couldn't get into it. But I can appreciate these guys. And at the end, also, always with an Usos match, they have the good tag alongside them that at the end of the matches, they really kick things up a gear.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. So if you like that sort of stuff, then, catch the match. I couldn't get into it myself, but there you go. Backstage, Rollins is talking to Orton. He says that he appreciates Orton rubbing baby oil over his body. No, I'm not going to say that, no. Orton facing Cena. He says that he'll have a surprise for him and that he'll be at ringside with Kane. Orton says apparently that he likes surprises. Must love his birthdays.
That's it.
Yeah. Not exactly a thrilling segment, but it does set up the main event disaster that came on later on. There's nothing really here. WWE do a lot of this sometimes where they just do very quick 20-second promos as intervals. At least this one had some sort of a purpose, at least. It just wasn't that interesting.
It's a bit more than like seeing a little bit backstage and someone's like wrapping tape. It's like, oh, and here we see whoever getting ready for their match next on Raw.
Yeah.
It's a bit better than that. At least it actually gives us something.
Yeah, that's it. Although the best sort of those segments were when you had RVD back in his prime doing like the split-legged stuff backstage and everything like that. They were like, oh, it's RVD getting ready, and he'd be doing all this crazy stuff. And I remember
quite like when they had John Morrison doing the whole parkour around the place. That was quite good.
Yeah, that was alright. That's the only thing I think I missed John Morrison for, really. Mark Henry against Rusev 2. So there was a lot of rematches on the show, this being one of them.
Yeah. Stink.
So Henry comes out anyway before. He looks jaded. He looks, defeated. I think it's probably the best word.
I'm sorry, America.
Yeah, that's it. He says he's heartbroken. And then Rusev comes out with Lana. Essentially says, well, you guys want to see another match with these guys? Fair enough. Rusev will beat him up again. That's pretty much what happened. So the match was pretty boring, unfortunately. Yeah. Which unfortunately shares a trait with their match at the pay-per-view. It wasn't particularly exciting. Henry was still a good opponent for Rusev, but I get the feeling now that I go backwards and forwards with this. I'd love to hear what our listeners think of this. But do you think, Matt, that waiting for WrestleMania for the big payoff on Rusev may just be a little bit too long? That they may have
definitely. It's getting stale already.
You think
I'm bored of Rusev. I want, like, not necessarily. What's after Hell in a Cell?
I think it's Survivor Series.
Go for Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, give him one more opponent. One more Patriot guy. Maybe the Big Show, considering I know he's been feuding on. I think he had a match
on behalf of had on SmackDown.
Have Big Show go up against him. He beats Big Show, and then you pick your guy that you want to beat him, and you get him to beat him. The world isn't going to end when Rusev loses a match, but it'll be a monumental moment, and you don't have to. Like, I'm under the thought train here that if they. I don't think that they've got it in them to book it and keep it that hot, the Rusev angle, leading into WrestleMania. WrestleMania is a good, over 6 months away. You know what I mean? You've got a long while to get there. So, yeah, why not Survivor Series? Make that a really huge moment, and pick your guy that you've always wanted to pay off for, and make him have it at that show. That's what I say anyway. Who knows? WWE might throw us a swerve when they give the payoff to Big Show. Oh God, the thoughts of it.
For no reason.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to hear our fans' thought on that. Do you think that they can wait until WrestleMania, or do you think it should happen in a Survivor Series? Let us know in the comments, because I know you guys. We love hearing back from you guys, and if you got any good ideas, we'll talk about them on the show. Adam Rose and a bunny.
Yeah.
Sounds like a bad joke, but unfortunately it's real.
Adam Rose and a bunny walked into the ring. That's just like, cue terrible joke.
Yeah, that's it. So Adam Rose and, yes, you did hear it right, a bunny against Slater Gator. Man, I'll tell you what, back in the days where Batista used to go to Titus O'Neil, because they lived next to each other, that's how Titus got into the wrestling scene. I wonder if he thought back then, with his friend Batista telling him you can make a bunch of money, use your physique, you can win titles, you can main event shows, he was thinking that he'd be facing up against a man dressed up as a bunny.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, if you don't know, the guy under the bunny suit, unfortunately, is Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
So Sami Zayn has made his debut now. Obviously he hasn't, but
the thing is, I'm not buying is the fact it's like, oh, it might be Darren Young under that bunny suit to renew a Darren Young Titus O'Neil, because they have a rubber match to still have.
Yeah,
but it's like, then stop with the high flying bunny, because that's not Darren Young.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw him doing all that sort of stuff in the ring and flying kicks and all that stuff?
Especially after seeing his. On YouTube, there's a return video for Darren Young, and it's really good stuff, actually. It's a really good video.
I haven't seen it, but you swear by it, don't you? You think
it's good. I could buy into it.
Yeah.
But it's just but why? It's he does not look like the sort of guy who's going to be doing high kicks and moonsaults anytime soon.
Yeah, that's it. So obviously this is leading into the last hour of Raw, and if you don't know already, the last hour of Raw has got a tendency to get pretty bad. In fact, there was one Raw that we reviewed over the last couple of weeks that tanked to holy hell in the last hour, and this unfortunately, doesn't exactly help that statement. But come on, guys, a bunny. Like we said before, that there's some parts in wrestling that if I were to show to a non-wrestling fan, I'd be ashamed to be a wrestling fan. This is one of those moments. Come on. And it's quite funny when WWE want to try and take themselves seriously, and then they book stuff like this, and they wonder why some of their most serious stuff doesn't get over.
Yeah, just stop feeding us shit, and we might actually take. It's almost like a boy that cried wolf. It's like, it's good stuff. Oh, really? You've let us down. It's good stuff. Nah, not this time.
Not this time. Yeah. And it's quite ironic here that Adam Rose technically did nothing in this match. The bunny actually did all the work.
The bunny won the match, yeah.
Yeah, and Adam Rose came in, used his Dirty Deeds rip-off. I know he's using the upper hand of his arm. It's still essentially the same move. Yeah. And
Party foul,
and then wins the match. And it's like, okay, so you just admitted now that a random bunny is better than Heath Slater, Titus O'Neil, and pretty much Adam Rose combined, essentially.
Well, the man in the bunny suit is better than those two men combined.
But still, like, come on. And they were playing this up like a big thing. I was expecting like JBL to lose his shit or something along those lines if the bunny got his tail ripped off. I
was just expecting him to just lose his shit anyway.
JBL, isn't it? Oh dear.
It's not Raw unless you see a vein in his forehead.
You need to if you can't find a reason to blow a gasket, JBL will find a reason to blow a gasket on the show.
The network's $9.99. Oh my god, this is disgraceful.
Yeah.
Come on, JBL.
Come on. So Nikki Bella, she comes out, and my alarm bells are ringing, pretty loud, as you can imagine. This is a Bella segment. She essentially comes out.
And to say I saw an abridged version, I still managed to skip this bit.
You still managed to skip it, so I'll explain it to you, and you managed to miss all of it. But she blames her loss on Brie Bella, because apparently Brie Bella didn't support her.
Why should she support her when she's been calling her a bitch and like, I don't want you as a sister?
Yeah, apparently, like, Nikki Bella doesn't know what she wants.
I want all your support, but fuck off.
First she asked her to quit. Then apparently now she's asking her to support her, and then when Brie Bella came out, she spilled more profound. Nikki Bella, just decide what you want, and then maybe they can give it to you. You don't need to keep changing your mind. What do you want there?
I've seen her to say yes.
Yes, yeah, I've seen her to say yeah. Will you marry me? It's probably what she wants, but still. So yeah, she does. She calls out Brie afterwards, and the segment continues. Brie says that she's had enough of being insulted. I've had enough of being insulted by these segments, personally, but there we are. Nikki says that she wants to be called the Nikki Bella.
The Brian Kendrick.
Bella. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah. Apparently, she wants Brie Bella to stop using the Bella name. So they're now technically fighting over who has the right to the name Bella. So, yeah. Who thought that was a good idea? I don't know, but it's not one.
Done.
Yeah. In fact, a fellow podcaster put up a brilliant tweet, essentially stating that it was almost like Booker T and Ahmed Johnson like fighting over the letter T again. It's like, what? Like, have you gone back to those dark days? It's getting very nonsensical at this point. It's a little bit like they're coming out with random reasons just to have an argument with each other. It's not exciting. Brie slaps Nikki out of the ring.
This whole thing hasn't been exciting.
It's been bad since day one. Terribly bad, but still. Moving onwards, Brie slaps Nikki out of the ring. This brings out AJ Lee like a shining knight to save us all, goddammit. To save us all. Yes, there we are. So this leads into a match. So Nikki Bella is actually having a match on the show with AJ. Paige is on commentary.
Yeah.
So here we're going to reference the posts that were put up. Now, the posts were put up about essentially stating that the Bellas are actually as competent, or maybe even as good and better, as AJ Lee and Paige. Now, normally I'd laugh these sort of statements off. As people know here, we are big fans of AJ Lee and Paige and Emma and, a lot of the NXT divas and stuff like that. Not so much of the Bellas. So I would love to off, but as we said before, it was done in such a way. I thought it was very well written, so we're going to give it time, and we're going to tell you the reason why we feel.
We mentioned links to other videos as well, sort of like watch this and sort of see some proof, sort of thing.
Yeah, if anyone's going to like disagree with what we say, like we don't expect you all to have the same opinion as us. This is a podcast. We can only give you our opinion. You might really like something that we hate, and some of our fans have come back to us.
Bisdow, for an example.
Yeah, some of them come back to us and said we really enjoy this. Fantastic, awesome. It's just your opinion. That's great. We'd always fight for your reason to have an opinion. And I always think it's interesting when you have two opinions that do clash together, but you've got people willing enough to actually discuss it. So here's our side of the story, okay? The best way that I can explain why we're not so keen on the Bellas, right? Before we start, the Bellas are actually much more able in the ring than a lot of the roster. I'm just going to say it out. You may think, wow. We've been very negative on the Divas as we're saying this. When you stack both Brie Bella and Nikki Bella next to likes of Rosa Mendez, Exana, and all this lot, man, they're in a different league to those girls. They're much, much better. They can have a competent match.
That's it. In fact, Nikki actually was relatively impressive at Night of Champions.
Yeah, she was good. She played her part quite well, right? Here's the thing, and I try to find the best way of explaining how I feel about it, okay? First of all, if I have, this is like my way of trying to explain to it. I'm a painter, right? I have a blue colour, I can use a blue colour. I can use a yellow colour, I can use a red colour, right? But I can't fuse those things into a masterpiece because I'm not that, I'm not at that point. I'm not that, I don't have the skill to do that, okay? I can put all these lines on a page, but merging them all together to make this fantastic, Van Gogh style masterpiece. I just don't have the skill, okay? The Bellas, I find, are a little bit of the same. They can do a lot of moves, and the videos do show a lot of the moves that they can do, that AJ and Paige can do. So, fair enough. They're far more competent than the majority of divas. But do I think that they can lead a match of really high quality? I disagree. I don't think they can. Yeah. I don't think they can fuse all those moves and all that crowd psychology and all that work into a match like we've seen on like the NXT specials. Now, that being granted as well, like a lot of people may say to us, well, even Paige hasn't had a 5-star match on the main roster, and you'd be completely correct. She hasn't had a match of the quality that she had with Emma months ago, back when she was on NXT. That's true.
Yeah. Or to get the NXT Women's title in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're all in agreement that no matter who you are, if you're a diva, you don't get enough time on the show, on the main roster. Flat out, I think everyone can agree with that, okay?
Yeah, we've mentioned this before.
Yeah. You also have to think as well, the reason that we're a lot more into AJ and Paige is because they're younger. And it's not so, you want the young girls, that makes it seem so bad. The Bellas are 30. They've had a lot of time in WWE to really hone their craft. And
well, also considering, like, you say that, but the Bellas joined the company in a time where the fact that they were twins sort of still went on a sex appeal sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is that they've been with the company, and they've been not just in the company in terms of developmental, but on the main roster for a long time. They've been seen a lot in their time. Paige is 22.
That's it.
She technically, if you think of age gap, the Bellas should be in a much higher league than Paige is at the moment, but they're not. Paige has been wrestling actually in a ring longer than the Bellas have, even though they're 8 years older than her, because Paige has been wrestling since she was, in her early teens. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's honestly.
Well, she's always lived around a wrestling ring.
Exactly. So, in terms of actually a Raw wrestling match, I don't mean a WWE Raw, I mean actually a wrestling match to its very core, I do firmly believe that AJ and Paige are on a different level to the Bellas. Okay? We've always said that. We'll always stick by it. There's no point us having the opinion if we just go back on it. You know what I mean? we always still think that. That's. I hope that we got it over best we can. But I do appreciate the guy leaving the comment. I thought it was really well worded and everything. And your right to your opinion. I'm glad that you shared that with us. Are you under the same thing, or is there anything that you want to share alongside that?
No, I'm sort of under the same sort of opinion. I mean, you've got like with the Bellas, like they tick a few of the boxes. Like they tick like the image that's always important on the Divas roster, and they are capable, and they're more capable, as you said, than like when we had Oksana around, and that was just terrible.
Yeah.
In fact, they're like both Bellas are better than like Alicia Fox, who's been a Divas champion.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are Divas that sort of they're not the two. Like when we did that little after special, we were just like the Divas division is in shambles. Like the Bellas aren't the sole reason why it's in shambles. The rest of the roster.
Yeah, it's like we're not like pointing, like we've never said that the Bellas are the reason why it's all gone to shit. I can tell you the reason why it's gone to shit, because they're not given enough time, just flat out. You know, that's the way it is.
And the fact that they have hired in girls who are just like, I just want to be on TV and look pretty.
Yeah, more so now with the Total Divas stuff.
Get out.
Yeah. The one thing I will slam the Bellas for, though, however, and just stating that, is that I'll tell you what, Total Divas perceives them as a little bit of a bitches. That actually perceives them in a very positive light. We've heard tons of story of the Bellas throwing girls out of a locker room and forcing them to dress out in the hallways, forcing blocking off people trying to get back into the company. You know, that sort of thing. Like very manipulative stuff.
Bitches.
Yeah,
bitchy backstabbing.
Yeah, and now, you know, you could say maybe they're trying to cement their place and whatever. That's for you guys to understand, and maybe you might say, well, there's no proof these stories ever existed. There's never smoke without fire. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way it is. But so yeah, there's our thoughts on it. We hope that we got it over to you best we can. But in regards to this match, AJ Lee and Nikki Bella, I thought it was okay. It wasn't fantastic. In fact, it was more along the lines of that. You can tell that they focused way more on Paige, on commentary, more than the actual match itself, which is a bit of a shame, you know, in regards to AJ and Nikki Bella here. So the match ends with AJ winning with the Black Widow. During this, AJ pushed Paige.
A very solid Black Widow as well.
Yeah, she got that locked in well, and you know what? Kudos to Nikki Bella. She held AJ up. You know, I know she probably doesn't weigh anything anyway, but she kept her up for quite a while in that Black Widow. So good stuff there, and obviously this will more than likely lead to Nikki Bella and a Brie Bella match. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah, we're bound to have a Bella match.
Yeah, but yeah, that's fair enough. So Triple H is checking on the locker room where Dean Ambrose is held. Now this is very important. So remember this now. Remember what we said before. He's locked in the room, okay? And at this promo, they show him the key. So there's no way in hell he can get out of that room. He's not even banging on the walls anymore, alright? It's all quiet. It's all fine, okay?
So one quiet on the Ambrose front.
Yeah, exactly. Triple H, and, as far as we know, there's no feasible way, bar Ambrose tearing the door off its hinges and beating up all four of the security men, that he got out, okay? Which is very unlikely, of course. Cena against Orton. So here we go. Main event time. The event that we have seen quite a few times. Main event. I can't really... if you've seen one generic Cena versus Orton match, then you've seen this match. That's pretty much the best.
Do you know one thing I didn't like with this match?
Go on.
It's like, Orton's done his middle rope DDT from the top rope. Oh my god! It's like, that's not new.
Yeah.
That seems to be like, they fear it's going to be a generic match. We'll just chuck that in.
Yeah. That'll make it completely new and everything. No, not really.
That's it. We've seen his top rope DDT.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
Against other people, no less, as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've seen one Cena-Orton match, then more than likely you have seen all that this match has to offer. For good and bad, that's what it is, you know? I'm not going to come out and say Cena and Orton are both horrible wrestlers, because that would be wrong. They're actually quite competent, but there's a reason
they're both good wrestlers. It's just, we had a year where it was nothing but Orton and Cena, and they're still giving us Orton and Cena.
Yeah. And I think it was quite funny back then that they said that they would never face each other again, and now they're actually facing each other more regularly than we would like. So, as the match goes on, looks like Cena's going to win. The Authority intervenes, sets up Cena for the cinder block treatment, and then behold, Like magic, Dean Ambrose appears.
That's it. Kane lifts the box, and who should be there? Not cinder blocks.
Yeah. I mean, really, like, does WWE think they were that stupid that Ambrose can either he was being contained by the worst and most retarded security division in all of the world, at the side, you know what? This guy's already in here, so let's open up the door and let him out.
That's it. Can I come out now? Okay.
Somehow, Ambrose can bend the laws of space and time. They're the only two ways.
What's the only other thing? Is like, did they really drag that out there without knowing that someone was in there? It's like, this is a bit light for a good dozen cinder blocks.
Like, come on, I mean, it's... We try and suspend our disbelief of the show. We all know that this is choreographed. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you didn't know the ins and outs of wrestling. Okay, everyone knows what wrestling is now. You know, it's no secret anymore. Okay,
kayfabe is dead, people.
Yeah, people that try and watch wrestling, they either do it for two things. One, because they want to moan that it was all better back in the old times, or the other people like us are people that want to still
enjoy the product.
Sometimes want to believe that the show can make us go back to the way that we thought, where sometimes it does happen where you think, oh my god, I don't know who's going to win, I'm really invested in this match, and you know, all these storylines they've built up really well.
Shield Wyatt.
Yeah, that sort of stuff, where we were genuinely excited, itching on our seats to watch a match. This completely destroyed.
And they stick up the big middle finger and just like, just think it's happened.
Yeah.
But how? I don't know, it happened.
No doubt they will show some footage next week of how Ambrose escaped and maybe he busted down the door and stuff like that. But come on, seriously?
It's like I said at the time, he's taken something out of Wile E. Coyote's box, and it's like that Acme hole.
Yeah.
He just slaps it to a wall and he can climb through it.
Yeah, just climb through it and then he's there. Or maybe he's got a portal gun. Maybe you guys leave a comment on the most ridiculous, ludicrous ways that Dean Ambrose could have got the fuck out of that room, and post it. We'll put the funniest one up next week. But come on, they seriously can't think that they can make us believe in this. Like, there's no way. Come on, like,
no.
There's no way we can defend it for them. It was really, really badly done. And sure, you know, Ambrose fighting them and stopping Cena getting beaten up and stuff is fine. But it's a little bit like, what? Really? What the fuck? How? What? Would someone please explain how this was even possible?
Like, even the whole commentary team were just like, how is he out here? It's like, I don't know.
Why don't you tell me?
You'd give me the answer.
You know what? It could have been easily fixed, right? If they had just shown, just before the match, a shot of the door open, you know, maybe one of the security men.
Like the 4 security guys laid out on the floor or something.
Or like, you know, maybe they showed a small little segment of, of maybe they thought that Ambrose was sick or something. You know, that old trick. So they open up the door, he attacks the 4 of them and he goes. That way the fans know sometime in that match, Ambrose is going to be there, and when he comes in, you've got this big pop, and he's running in, you know, he's doing the usual Ambrose stuff, he's going to save Cena, you know.
Not hiding under a table.
Not hiding under a table, just using, apparently, space magic to get there. It was really, really, really badly done. And, he ends the show standing tall with Cena, and that's how it ends. There we go.
Yep.
So, yeah, an ending that makes us scratch our heads, and it's a little bit like, really, come on, guys. It could have been so easily fixed, and it could have been good.
That's it.
It could have been good. It could have been really good.
Better than this.
Oh, dear. So, that is the show in a whole. The 3 hours of Raw. All in all, the show is highlighted the fact that it had a really, really nonsensical finish at the end of the show. But there was decent matches to be had. The Intercontinental title match was very, very good. There were some other matches on here that were very watchable. And, you know, some segments here, like the opening segment, I thought was okay. I thought it was okay. Until obviously it led into all that.
It definitely got the crowd into it.
Yeah.
But then to be fair, the crowd would be into anything with Ambrose.
Yeah, he's very over. We're also going to talk about Ambrose now at the end of the podcast. But I think that also a little bit of a slight knock on the show is that I think the main event was too long. I think it was too boring. What was the point in Cena facing Orton? It's like, we've seen a lot of this match before, and he's given us a reason to be invested. One of the reasons why you and me defended them having the Cena-Orton title unification match, that was the very first episode we ever did, was we talked about that. I know, episode 1 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. We defended that match because it was relevant. It actually meant something. These two guys were actually going to unify the belts.
Yeah, not just another battle for the same title.
Yeah, it was a throwaway main event, and it was booked at that as well. So a little bit of a show. But the one thing also that it does absolutely little in terms of building up what we're looking forward to in Hell in a Cell. I mean, we can make our own assumptions, but for the general wrestling fan, it's like, okay, this show is over, but what can we look forward to in the future Raws, and what can we look forward to in the pay-per-view leading up? Now, obviously, we firmly believe that you're going to have Ambrose and Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match, and possibly, most probably, John Cena, Lesnar 3 also in a Hell in a Cell. That's the way that I see it going. But for the general wrestling fan, what are they supposed to know? What they're supposed to? What was going to keep them in? What's going to make them want to come back next week and watch Raw? And I guarantee you, the ratings aren't going to be very good. So there we are. And this, like we said before, the ratings to this show were the worst that Raw has had this year, categorically. So, bit of a shame for Ambrose, because he was all over this show, and it was a return show. But still, any final thoughts on? Final thoughts. Jesus, Jerry Springer's done a number on me. Anyway, final thoughts on Raw.
I have no thoughts on Raw.
No. I mean, you watched less than I did this week.
So that's it.
So, as of next week, by the way, this is our last of our holiday shows. So next week everything is back to normal. You'll get all the usual stuff. Still getting audio goodness.
Standard swing.
That's it. So we're going to talk about a little bit here. Obviously, you're talking about Reigns' injury. Roman Reigns injured, and WWE every single time they seem to announce when he's going to be back, he seems to be getting longer and longer and longer. That could be just them, trying to swerve us in Reigns comes back early. But I'm going to talk here about how WWE may not have to look too far away for a guy that could be the man. Could be the slot there which they've got Reigns seemingly streamlined for. They might already have someone, and that guy is Dean Ambrose.
Definitely.
You'll be blind and deaf to not see how much this guy is over.
Oh God, the crowd! Everyone loves the lunatic fringe.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he always gets a good pop when he comes out. I think his entrance music really helps that as well. His promos are solid. He's got a good look. My wife thinks that he's just as good looking as Roman Reigns. I'm sure she's not the only person, but he's got a good look. He's good in the ring. He's got a very explosive moveset. That clothesline he does when he flips into the ropes always gets a good response because it's a good move. Flat out. I honestly think that if things don't work out for Reigns, and it might just not be the injury. It might be that maybe for some reason Reigns just isn't the guy. Maybe personality-wise, he just doesn't fit in, or he doesn't want to stay. They thought Lesnar was the guy, and then he eventually left because he got sick of traveling all the time. Maybe Reigns does exactly the same thing. You can't know. You don't know what these guys will do once they get put in that situation. Or
maybe the crowd are really behind him now, but what's to say when should Reigns become champion, the crowd don't take to him.
Yeah, and he doesn't become the massive, huge...
the crowd were behind Sheamus, and now look at him, he's holding a mid-card title.
And the fans couldn't give a shit about him. It could happen, it could get to that point, that maybe they make a star out of him, but he doesn't stick. Maybe. I think it's unlikely, but there is always a chance. So who is the guy that could step into that role? I think it's Dean Ambrose.
With the current lacking of baby faces, severe lacking,
Yeah. I think that...
I can't think of a single person who's... you've got so many people who are faces, but it's that are now, but they're cemented into mid-card.
Yeah, so Kofi Kingston...
even
Swagger. Ziggler, Swagger, those sort of guys.
Cemented to the mid-cards.
Yeah,
but
they're never going to get there.
In that main event picture, who do you have as a face? Cena.
Yeah, exactly. And they keep going back to the Cena card time and time again. And they will do until he retires. I'm not being, I'm not being ignorant. I know,
we're not stupid.
Yeah, we know that they're gonna mean, the Cena card is worn out as it is, but they're going to keep using it. And that's the way WWE
it's worn out, but they'll use it until that card tears.
Yeah, exactly. Until it's broken and can't walk anymore. So, Dean Ambrose could be the guy. And while I think, and I'm going to make this similarity loosely before people get too into it, okay? I think WWE should not keep looking for the next Steve Austin, because I think Austin was a one-in-a-kind guy. I don't think you'll get another Austin, but I think the closest you can get to the reactions that Austin got are in this guy, or is in Dean Ambrose.
Ambrose, I will agree. I will completely agree. He is probably the closest you're going to get, because he's very much a big middle finger to the authority.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Reigns is just like, because Reigns is sort of like, oh, I'm just in for the title. Like, that's how it is now.
Yeah, like he seems to be up for. He seems to. Everyone knows that he's the chosen one, so he's going in a different direction. That's
it. But the story of like Ambrose's feeling of betrayal has sort of dragged him into a storyline with the authority.
Yeah,
and he's just like, I don't give a fuck about any of you. I want him.
Yeah, and it's like
Austin did the same thing. I don't care about any of you. I want Vince.
Yeah, exactly, and we remember the famous thing of Austin, up on the truck leading into the the arena,
truck, yes.
And he dived off the top of the truck and clotheslined Vince
through
McMahon
security,
because Vince was the only guy that you wanted, and he wanted to destroy him, and it was that huge thing. Now I don't think they're ever going to get as much heat. I mean, it's very rare you get a storyline with as much heat and fan interaction as the Austin McMahon storyline. We're not saying that it's never going to get to that point, but the kind of response that Ambrose is getting at now is this renegade, no questions asked. I'm going to go in and beat the crap out of him because I like it. That's the closest you're going to get to it at the current point.
But then it's also because like it gets the authority involved. Like that's pretty much where I was going with sort of like with my view of the comparison, because it's like. It wasn't Rollins who locked him in a room. It was Triple H.
Yes. Yeah.
It was the boss.
Yeah. And he, Austin was always the thorn in McMahon's side. Now you've got Ambrose being the thorn in their side. They just can't get rid of him. He's just causing them troubles left, right, and centre. And you could even come to the point that the authority just finally state, okay, why don't we give you a title match? And that way you just get off our backs. We give you a title match. And even though they might try and screw him out of it, somehow he wins, which is some of the stuff that Austin did that in his heyday, where he would stunner people here and there, false referees. If you remember, he had a match where he was the champion, he retained it by forcing the referee to count himself, by making the referee count,
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, that's the stuff that you would imagine Ambrose doing as a character.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I could see him...
Any and all means.
Yeah, I think... A lot of people think it's completely out of the realm of possibility to see Ambrose with the belt. I think that's completely moronic. I think there's a very good chance at some point in his career, maybe sooner rather than later, possibly, that you might see Ambrose as a world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And being a very hot world heavyweight champion, having a lot of momentum behind him to get him to where he needs to be.
That's it. I mean, it's been really good, amazing booking on WWE's part, but then it's the one thing, because like, WWE didn't make Daniel Bryan famous. The crowd made Daniel Bryan famous.
Yeah.
And I think the same could happen with Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've booked him really well. I'm not going to take anything out from that. But it's the crowd's reaction. The crowd love Ambrose.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, it's hard to state, but with Ambrose, with Bryan, he has a thing with him that, as much as I like Bryan, during that whole storyline he had with the Authority, I never felt like Bryan was gonna just snap and like attack people. In fact, there was many times he would have a friendly chat with Triple H in the ring, not really friendly, but you get what I'm saying. He would just chat, even though he got battered by them last week. He would just be like, "Oh, you won't, as much as you do it, I'll still beat you." Whereas Ambrose is more of a person that would be, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to beat the shit out of you for what you did, and that's
it. It's the closest thing to talk is like, great, you're here.
Yeah.
Drops mic, runs.
Yeah. And I think that, like I said, as much as I like Bryan, and Bryan, is better in the ring than Ambrose. Ambrose is a far better talker than Bryan is. One of the weaknesses of Bryan as a complete package is his mic work. It's a little bit wooden. It's not quite there. Ambrose is very, very good.
Ambrose could sell you a story.
Yes, exactly. bar the points where he's been told to make 9.99 references. But still, even then he does it with the best ability as he can. So yeah, for some people stating that the Reigns injury definitely opens up a door for him. If Reigns is out past Royal Rumble, there's a good chance you may even see Ambrose in a very high-profile match at Mania, maybe for the belt. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility.
I don't know.
I don't think he will, but
I think we're probably going to have a repeat of last year.
What, in terms of the Bryan storyline?
Yeah.
But you know what? And one of the things.
Either way, I'm happy.
Like, they don't have to do exactly the same. And like I said, let's say they were doing that, and Ambrose was the guy they chose to say, okay, Reigns is out, Ambrose is our guy. Our plan now is to make him champion by WrestleMania. At WrestleMania to be the final stamping point, which seemed to be the plan for Reigns anyway.
Well, with Rollins being Money in the Bank, it can be done.
Yeah. You could have Rollins win the belt, maybe very close to Mania.
At Royal Rumble or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. Or maybe even earlier.
If he does it at Royal Rumble, then you've got Elimination Chamber. Yeah,
Elimination Chamber.
Where he could defend.
Yeah.
For the entitled rematch.
Yeah. And
then Mania.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And then you've got Ambrose in a prime position to do it, and along those lines. Although I think it's very unlikely, you could even have it that the Authority start putting all their chips into Lesnar, and they don't want Ambrose to win the belt, but Ambrose does fell the beast. He manages to beat Lesnar. Now, I think that's very unlikely. That's fantasy booking.
That's fantasy booking, but I think Ambrose could sell like a whole sort of dazed and weary and all that lot, but still sort of chuckling maniacally sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they could do
sort
a
of
thing.
Like in the corner, just sort of like...
Yeah, and as much as like Lesnar's beating the living crap out of him, but for some reason, like Ambrose just...
soaks it.
Yeah, he's not so much like Cena. He's not like never give up and he's like just getting up regardless. But like it's like Ambrose is like liking it. He's like, okay, is that what you got? Yeah. And like Lesnar's like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And keeps trying to put him away. It doesn't happen. And then Ambrose gets his one chance at. And we said it before. I said the perfect way to have, if you're gonna have Lesnar as a beast and make him lose at Mania, then you need to... I'd honestly go with the Rocky blueprint of have it so even there's a point in the match where Lesnar's like, he's all over the place, he doesn't know where he is, and it looks like he's going to lose, and almost like the fans know this is it, this is where he's actually going to get beaten, but it's like a flurry of moves come from whoever's going to beat him, and then the final exclamation point, and then everyone knows at that point that, oh my god, he's actually done it, he's actually beaten. They need to get the same moment for a face that Lesnar had with Undertaker, where it was like, oh my god. But imagine having that for a face, the ultimate victory against Lesnar.
That's it.
There we are. That's what we're going for. So.
Like the Beast Incarnate has been taken down.
Yeah, he's actually been beaten clean, and the guy actually beat him, legitimately 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring for the belt. It almost writes itself. But there we are. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, guys. If you honestly think there's any chance of Dean Ambrose being the next big guy, the man of the company going forward. Let us know what you guys think, and we'll obviously take that into account. Apart from that, though, I think that's our show for this week.
I think we've wrapped up, yeah.
I think we've wrapped up nicely. Just like to remind you guys, if you did enjoy the podcast, then thanks along for listening to us. And, if you're new, then subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any future episodes. We did hit 110 subscribers this week, so thank you very much for that.
Oh, that's good.
And we've been loving the interaction we're having with you guys. And like I said, if you word your opinions to us in a very eloquent way, then like our better discussion later on, they will be featured on the podcast. Of that, I'm in an assurance that will happen.
That's it.
So apart from that, yes, follow us on Twitter. I always forget that, and you always hate me for it. So
I do.
Yeah. At Talk Wrestle Pods, Matt handles our Twitter. It is the quickest way to ask us questions, and you'll get a pretty nifty response there. And in fact, if there's any matches that you'd like us to watch and stuff, then you get that done as well. In fact, you watched the NXT match just off of a tweet of one of our fans, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You did. So there you go. So that way...
And it was a good match.
It was a good match. So we do listen to you guys, and thank you guys again for supporting the show. We wouldn't be here without you guys, supporting us all the way through. I will let you guys know, because it's only happened once. Me and Matt are very excited for it. every single time we do 25 episodes, the intro of the show will change. And so will the graphics of the show. You may already recognise, you can actually go back and look at like 24, 25, 26. That's when the change happens in the graphics of the show. That's actually coming up soon. This is episode 44. So 6 more episodes and you will have the new graphics. I know everyone, I know you're looking forward to that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm looking forward to making that all stuff for you. So keep an eye out for you guys. But for now, this is episode 44 of Let's Talk Wrestling. I hope you guys have a great week. Sorry for this being a day late. But regardless, we will catch you next time.
You will.
Right then, bye bye.
Bye.